Hey, happy Tuesday, guys. Back, obviously, to talk about the four-game NBA playoff slate. So, bear with me 1 second here. Let me tweet out the stream, and then we'll get into it. This one's a tricky one because the first game on the slate is the key. What happens? Does the game stay close? If it does, there is upside for a lot of really good plays on both sides. The value for the Magic, and then with Giannis, Bledsoe, there is upside, or do you just fade this game and hope it blows out, which I also think is very, very possible. So it's a really tricky one, and it's going to, getting this game right is going to be key. It really is. So, and when you have like a 12-point spread, it's almost like 50-50 it blows out or not. This is a slate I'm avoiding cash games just because of that reason, because this game matters so much for the slate that, going either way, if you guess wrong, you're basically done. So, I'm not playing cash here, staying away. It's only a GBP slate because of the first game. Just it matters so much. Jake Anderson, this is from Porzingis. Thank you for the $5 super chat, man. Yeah, Porzingis, I could barely sleep last night. I was so tilted. The first foul was obviously a clean block. And then the second one was just like some pushing and shoving. You can't give him a T there. I don't care what anyone says. That was so disappointing. It wasn't going to be a huge night for me, but I was going to win. I was going to win money. So, yeah, that really hurt an ejection early in the third quarter. But I appreciate the super chat again from you, man. So, yeah, guys, I'll get to questions at the end. If you guys are new to the live stream, what I'll do is we'll go over all the news we have so far. So let's do that really quick. When Gabriel started for Zach Collins, kind of expected that. I don't know how many minutes he's going to get. Someone did make a good point. Someone hit me up on Twitter and the YouTube comment section that I think there's a decent chance they're going to use Whiteside and Nurkic out there a bit together. So could make Whiteside a little bit more viable. We did get the big news of Aaron Gordon out and Michael Carter-Williams out. So this Orlando Magic team is really thin. There's definitely value, but there's definitely risk, right? Because there's a good chance this game blows out. Now, I don't think there's as much risk for the value plays as opposed to a guy like Giannis. And based off what I've seen, I actually think Giannis is going to be pretty popular. So, like I said, this is a really tricky one. Magic are starting Fultz at the point guard, Fournier, James Ennis, Clark, and Vucevic. And then, Conley is back he's not going to be able to play, but he's back. I think he'll be available in a couple games. All right, so let's go over the odds here. Again, this first game is key. It's a 225 over under. It's a 13-point spread. So what do you do with this game? Do you maybe only go with a couple of value pieces and then avoid Giannis? Or do you load up because this game has huge upside? Giannis could absolutely crush his 10.5 salary. Eric Bledsoe's at 5.4. Brooke Lopez is under 5K. That's why I'm not playing cash games. It's just the blowout will literally determine if you cash or not, getting on the right side. If you have Giannis and the game blows out, you're most likely not going to cash unless he absolutely goes crazy in like three quarters. Heat Pacers, it's a 215 over under. Heat are 4.5-point favorites. Thunder Rockets, a 224.5 over under. Thunder are 1.5-point favorites, and Trailblazers, Lakers, 230.5 over under. Lakers are 6.5-point favorites. So let's get into Inmundo. I'm not getting into Inmundo. I like the other value better for Orlando. So let's first talk about Orlando because this is key, right? Getting this team right is going to be key on the slate. Vucevic is at 8.8. I just can't get to him when you have James Harden, the Lakers studs, and Giannis on the slate. And he's somewhat close to their prices. It just doesn't make sense. Can Vucevic go for 60 and keep the Magic in it? Of course he can. But this is like the same situation as the Utah Jazz yesterday. And we actually saw Donovan Mitchell go crazy. But I mentioned, I had 3 Utah guys. I didn't want to play 4. I currently have 3 Magic in my lineup. I do not want to play 4 with Vucevic. Definitely see his upside there, but I just can't get to him over those studs that I mentioned. Again, Aaron Gordon is out. That is huge. He was the second highest usage guy in this offense, playing big minutes. So this makes the value here really, really interesting. Right now, my favorite for their prices are the 2 point guards. Markelle Fultz at 4.2. Really like him. He's starting a point. I think we get 30-ish minutes out of him. He's been really solid since coming back from the bubble. So I really like Fultz. I know he's going to be popular. I'm good at eating the chalk there. I also have interest in DJ Augustine at 3.5. I think he goes under the radar. Going to come off the bench. I think we get at least 25 minutes from him. and not a lot of people are going to get to him. I messed around with roster construction. I can't get to Augustine because I'm playing Fultz, I'm playing Harden, I'm playing Dragic. And then, I could play him in the utility spot, but I tried a lot of different combinations. Didn't really work out, so I really like DJ Augustine as a pivot. I think you can play both, but again, we have Harden on the slate, we have Goran Dragic on the slate. So there's a lot of good guard plays. Ross and Fournier. So Fournier's going to start. I think we get 35 minutes out of him. Ross is going to come off the bench. I think we get probably 32 minutes out of him. Both are kind of similar. Both are a little bit scoring dependent. So yeah, this one's a little bit tricky. Fournier might pick up a little bit more ownership. Both have upside to go for 40 plus. So this one's almost a toss-up for me with Fournier and with Ross. Normally, these are two guys I don't like playing because they're scoring-dependent guys. I'm just never crazy about them playing Magic, but they're really thin, and this is the playoffs. Their rotation could be an 8-man rotation here. I don't know if Wesemundo is in the rotation. It literally could be Vucevic, Fournier, Ross, Fultz, Augustine, Ennis, Birch, and Gary Clark. That's 8 guys, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it could be 8. Wesemundo could be in the rotation. I don't know if that's for sure. I would guess probably, but they could tighten it up. You never know. So, yeah, 8 to 9 man rotation here for the Magic. I think the point guards look the best. Fultz is going to be really popular. I'm fine eating the chalk there. Fournier and Ross are very similar. Both are going to have to shoot the ball a ton with no Aaron Gordon. If they want any chance of keeping this close, someone's going to have to help Vucevic. So I have interest in both those shooting guards, small forwards, whatever you call it, Ross and Fournier. And they're very, very similar to me. And then finally, the really cheap value here, James Ennis at 3-4. I actually like him. The minutes have been a little bit more up and down on him, but if we get close to 30 minutes out of him at 3.4K, I think that looks pretty solid. So, yeah, I prefer Ennis to a guy like Gary Clark, who's also going to start. I just think Ennis has a little bit more upside. Gary Clark, I mean, they're going to use him to guard Giannis. Could be some foul trouble. He's just not as good of an offensive player as James Ennis. I know they're both not great, but I would just prefer Ennis to Clark of those really cheap options. I think a 1% owned dart throw in GPPs is a guy like Khem Birch. They said they might use him on Giannis a bit. Will they use him and Vooch together, though? That's the question. But he's a good point per minute guy. So if I knew Khem Birch was going to play 20-plus minutes, I would really like him in the spot at 3-2. But yeah, like I said, it's a messy slate because you have to get this Magic value right, and it's tricky because plays are really similar. Again, Fournier and Ross are almost identical plays to me. Fultz and Augustine, I obviously prefer Fultz, but I think you can play both. I prefer Ennis slightly to Gary Clark. Khem Birch, dart throw off the bench. That's my feelings right now. I currently have 3 Orlando guys in my lineup. I do not feel good about that, but that's the nature of this slate. So let's go to Milwaukee. The big question is, what are you doing with Giannis Antetokounmpo? I initially thought he wasn't going to be that high owned because of the blowout risk, but based on what I've seen, I think he's actually going to be very popular. I mean, the price looks amazing on him at 10.5. If this game stays close, we're going to get 35 minutes out of Giannis Antetokounmpo. Don't be surprised if he goes for 80. No one on the Magic can stop him. It's just, the big question is, do you think the game stays close where he gets his full run? That is seriously up in the air. I think it's 50-50. And that is, again, a reason why I'm not playing cash games is because getting this game right is absolutely key. And it's a 50-50 shot that it blows out or not. So, I don't know. Currently, I really do not feel good about this. But I am not playing Giannis Antetokounmpo. I'm playing LeBron and Harden. I know that's very, very contrarian because I think Giannis will be pretty popular. And I do have 3 Magic guys in my lineup. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I've been trying to mix things around, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for me with my roster to have 3 Magic guys and then not run it back with any Milwaukee guys. But that's what I have right now. I'm just really hoping LeBron and Harden absolutely smash and they beat out Giannis if this game does stay close. Yeah, it's just a really, really tricky slate, guys. So Giannis, absolutely love him if you get to him. You're going to have to make a tough call. I think that the cash approach, I guess, would be Giannis and Harden. But LeBron is certainly up there too, and Anthony Davis. Middleton's at 7.3. I mean, I think that's a solid price for him if you can't get to Giannis. We're probably going to get 35 minutes out of Middleton. He has upside games. I really like Eric Bledsoe at 5'4". I think we get at least 30 minutes from him in the playoffs. He's a good point per minute guy, and the price is too cheap. He should be like 6.5K, so I do have interest in Eric Bledsoe at his price. I also like Brook Lopez at 4.7. If the game stays close, we're going to see over 30 minutes from him. He's been a really solid point per minute guy. He went for 50 there against Dallas, 46 against Houston. Like, he has that type of upside, so yeah, the Milwaukee guys look good too. Below that, though, I'm not going to get to the value in Milwaukee. I just don't want to try to figure that out. But Giannis, Middleton, Bledsoe, and Brook Lopez all look really solid. Again, getting this game right is the key to the slate. So let's move on to Miami. Jimmy Butler and Bam. Both look pretty good for the prices. 7.6 for Jimmy, 7.4 for Bam. I slightly prefer Bam. I think we get 35 minutes out of both of them in this one. And it's a really good spot for Bam and a buy against Miles Turner. I'm not scared of Miles Turner defensively, so I could see Bam going for 50+ in this one. I think maybe he goes a little bit lower owned on the slate, but I do like the upside quite a bit on Bam. I think Jimmy Butler's a safe play too. He's going to play 35 minutes. He's a guy that will do it all too. So I have interest in both those Miami guys. It's tricky, right? Because we have Giannis, we have Harden, and we have the Lakers guys. Trying to get guys in the mid-range is almost impossible. Unless you're just going super contrarian and going balanced and then hoping the studs don't have smash spots, which I guess is viable. It's really risky, but I guess it's viable. I'm not getting to Nunn at 5'6". I'm not getting to Hero at 4'8". Nunn's coming out the bench. The guy that really stands out to me, and I think is probably the best value play of the day, is Goran Dragic. 4.4K. He's starting at point guard. We're going to get close to 30 minutes from him. He's a really good point per minute guy. He can do it all. Rebounds, assists, score the ball. I love Goran Dragic. I know the matchup, I guess, against the Pacers, not necessarily the best. Doesn't worry me. It's a price point thing with him. It's a minutes thing. He's going to play close to 30 minutes, and he's starting. I absolutely love Goran Dragic. He's my favorite value play of the day. There are some other value plays that are interesting, though, with Miami. So Duncan Robinson, Jay Crowder, Andre Iguodala are all in play. Jimmy and Bam are going to play about 35 minutes, in my opinion. We're probably going to get close to 30 from Dragic. That leaves Nunn, Hero, Olynyk, Duncan, Jay, Iguodala, maybe airplane mode if he plays, to fill out the rest of those minutes. So I did the average. If everyone splits the minutes, it's about like 23 minutes for all those guys. Duncan probably gets extended the most, I guess. I mean, his minutes have been a little up and down, but if he gets over 30 minutes, he's in like the same territory as a guy like Terrence Ross. Both should get minutes close to 30 or a little bit more. Both are very scoring dependent, but they're hitting the shots. They have upside. I just think right now I slightly give the edge to the Orlando guys because Miami has Jimmy, they have Bam, and they have Goran Dragic that'll eat up a lot of usage in that offense. On Orlando, it's Vucevic, and that's it. So I feel like the Orlando guys have to do more. That's why I slightly prefer them for value. I think it's close, though, with the Magic value and with the Heat value. Obviously, there's risk with the Magic value. The blowout risk, for sure in play here. Duncan is really close to those Magic guys. I just think I slightly give the edge for that reason to Orlando guys. Jay Crowder's at 3.9. I mean, him, Iguodala will probably get around 25-ish minutes, maybe a little bit more. Both are guys that will do it all. So I have interest in Jay and Iguodala. I think they look really solid for value. It's just, do you want to go the Magic value or do you want to go the Heat value? The Heat value might be safer because I don't think this game really blows out. Whereas the Magic value, I think, has a little more upside if it does stay close because someone's going to have to help Vucevic. And Milwaukee plays at a really fast pace, too, so that there could be upside there. It's just a huge risk. So that's really my thoughts. I think there are some definitely viable plays. Like Jimmy and Bam, I like, but it makes it hard for me to get to them in this slate. Dragic is a clear play for me at 4.4. Hero and Nunn off the bench, I'm going to pass on. Kelly O, I don't know what his minutes going to be like, so I'll probably stay away there. The value guys I'm looking to, Duncan, Jay, Iguodala. I think they're all certainly viable here. On the Pacers side, there's not a lot to like here for me. Going up against Miami, who's really solid defensively. I'm not getting to TJ Warren at 8K. He is up in the air, but I think he's going to be good to go. He practiced Sunday, so I think he's fine. Again, if you want to go the narrative, him and Jimmy Butler hate each other, but I'm not going there. Miles Turner's at 7.2. That's a really easy fade against Bam and Adebayo. Brogdon's at 6.8. I think he can definitely get you there, but how can you get to these guys in the mid-range on a slate like this? Same sort of analysis with Oladipo. Could get you there at 6'2", but just the matchup and the mid-range is so tough today that I just can't do it. Aaron Holiday at 4'2", we probably will get decent minutes for him, but I prefer the value plays that I mentioned with the Magic guys and with the Miami Heat guys, and that's it for me. So I really have no interest in these Indiana Pacers. Let's talk about OKC. So this is an interesting spot here for these OKC guys. It's a really good match against Houston. Play no defense. 224.5 over under. I think that goes over. Yeah, I mean, the three guys that I have interest in are the three guards. CP3, SGA, and Schroeder are all going to play 30-plus minutes. I think we all get probably 35-plus minutes from them because Houston runs small ball, so it really fits OKC perfectly. They can just run their three guards out there. I think the guy with the most upside is Chris Paul. He is the most expensive. It's a revenge spot, too. Like, we're going to get 35-plus minutes from CP3 here. I think he's going to want to have a big game against his former team. So I really like CP3. I think he goes a bit lower owned in the slate. I also have interest in SGA. I have interest in Schroeder. I'd probably rank them CP3 1, Schroeder 2, SGA 3, but have interest in all three. I'm not going to get to Adams at 6'4". I'm just worried that they match Houston's small ball. It's always a worry going up against Houston with like traditional centers. Like, do they extend him or do they match Houston's small ball? I don't think it's a risk I'm willing to take, especially at 6'4". Gallinari, the minutes were way down on him in the regular season, or since the return from the bubble. Do they go up in the playoffs? I think the answer is yes. By how much? I don't know. If I knew Gallinari was going to play 35-plus minutes, I would really like him, but I think there's a chance he still gets under 30. He's a guy that they could use at the small ball 5 if they wanted to match. So it's a tricky one for Gallo. He's a lot riskier, but I still have interest if he does get those minutes. Not going to Basley. I know he's been playing well, but I'm not getting to him at 4-5. Everyone else is a stay away for me for OKC. So it's the guards really that stand out to me. Probably CP3 the most, even though he's the most expensive, just because of the revenge spot and a great matchup. Yeah, that's really it. So let's talk about Houston. Harden, I mean, I know the price is up, but with no Russell Westbrook in a revenge spot here against OKC, I think you just play him and move on. Sure, he could have a floor game. He could get you 60 fancy points, and then maybe it's Giannis and one of those Lakers studs that win you the GPP. But I'm just not going to get cute here and try to fade him. I'm just playing him and moving on. I think he is probably the clear top play. Whereas with Giannis and the Lakers guys, you're going to have to make a tough decision. I think right now Giannis is going to come in higher owned than those Lakers guys. So no Westbrook. Obviously, again, love Harden. Covington's at 6'5". The mid-range, like I mentioned, is just super tricky. I'm not getting to anyone in the mid-range here with Covington or House. The guy I will mention is Eric Gordon. He's going to start at 5'5". They kind of limited his minutes in back-to-back games. So he is going to be the number 2 in the offense. The issue with him is he's scoring dependent, and the price is up to 5'5". Don't be surprised if he goes for 40-plus fancy points, but also don't be surprised if he finishes with like under 15 fancy points because sure, he's a guy that's going to shoot the ball a ton, but he has to hit his shots. So it's a risky target. I like him for GPPs. I think the price point makes him people avoid him, but I still like the upside there. He's probably a late slate play for me. I'm not going to get to him in the main, but I do like him for the late slate. Definitely not getting to 5'3" Rivers or 5'7" House. Those two are probably the easiest fades of the day. Definitely not paying 5'2" for Jeff Green or 4'1" for PJ Tucker. I guess you could consider PJ Tucker, but the other value I mentioned is just better in my opinion. I'm not getting to 4-6 Malcolm either. So really for me, it's Harden, it's Eric Gordon, and that's it. Finally, Portland and the Lakers. So what are we going to do with Portland here? Well, Lillard is 11-4. There's just no way I can prioritize playing Lillard over James Harden. I know Lillard has been absolutely insane, but with no Russell Westbrook, I just can't do it. So Lillard certainly in play as a pivot. I think he goes pretty low owned. The upside is obviously there, but I just can't do it on the slate. Nurkic is at 9-1. And it makes it tricky when you have Giannis, LeBron, AD, and Harden. Like, how can I get to these guys in the main slate? I can't. These are late slate plays. So I'm not getting to the studs for the Trailblazers, who prices are up. I mean, we know the offense is coming from these three guys, but it's not like we're getting discounts in any of them. Nurkic over 9K, CJ over 8K, Lillard over 11K. I can't prioritize any of them on the main slate. I'm not getting to Melo either at 5'8". yeah, just not for me. Mid-range is tough. I'm not going to Gary Trent Jr. either. Too score independent. He literally has to hit his threes. Those guys could be potentially late slate plays. A couple of guys I do want to mention, though, is because they're cheaper. Hassan Whiteside's at 4-4. Do the Blazers run both him and Nurkic out there a good amount? I think it's possible. And Whiteside, he's frustrating. He's always in foul trouble, but he's a good point per minute guy. So if I knew Whiteside was going to push for like 25 minutes in this one, I would really like him. I don't know what they're going to do. They're starting Wenyen Gabriel. How many minutes does he get? So it's a tricky one with Zach Collins out. I do have some interest, though, in Whiteside at 4-4. Gabriel starting at 3-2. I don't think I would do it. I'm just worried about his minutes. I mean, I think he gets somewhere between 15 to 20. I don't think that's enough on this slate. I would just rather pay a little bit more for Whiteside and hope he gets extended. Hazonia is the last guy I'll mention. He's at 3-3. He could get more minutes here with no Zach Collins. It's just a question mark, right? Like, how many does he get? He could play 10. He could play over 20. It's a risk, but the two value guys I think I would consider are Whiteside and Hazonia. It's just, their minutes are a little bit more in question. So lastly, Lakers. These guys might go a little bit lower owned. With what I've seen so far, with obviously Harden chalk, and I guess Giannis is going to be chalk, these guys might go a little bit lower owned. But LeBron and AD, I absolutely love both these guys. At under 11K in the best possible matchup here against Portland, they play zero defense. We're going to get close to 40 minutes of LeBron and AD. So, and this is playoffs. This is a different mode. Like, LeBron is going to be in a different mode than he was in the regular season. Like, at times he was passive since returning. Like, he's going to be super aggressive here. I love LeBron. I love AD. I think I slightly give the edge to LeBron just because of the matchup. Who is going to guard LeBron James? It's obviously not going to be the two guards. It's got to be Melo, right? And Melo is going to get absolutely abused if they try to throw Wenyen Gabriel on him. Good luck with that. Whereas AD, they actually have big bodies they can throw on him. I know they're not, Whiteside's not really a good defender. They have Whiteside, they have Nurkic, they have big bodies they can use. So for that reason, I'll just slightly give the edge there to LeBron. Kuzma at 6'4", he's more of a late slate play for me. He's been playing really well, but I can't get to him in the main at that price point. And then finally, the value here. So what do the Lakers do? They've been running a really big rotation, like 10 to 11-man rotation. Does that tighten up for the playoffs? I think it's definitely possible. Caruso's at 4-3. I just don't think I can do that. Maybe a late slate play. The couple plays that do interest me are the centers here for the Lakers. We have Dwight Howard at 3-7. Like I mentioned, Portland is really big. So I think this is a game where we could see more minutes out of Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee. Both on average get around 15 minutes. But if we project them for like 20 minutes each, then these guys look a lot better. And they're pretty solid point per minute guys. So Dwight is in play at 3-7. JaVale McGee is almost min price. If we get close to 20 minutes out of JaVale McGee, I like that. Sure, the minutes are a little bit more in question, but I think these center plays are viable for punt options. And then lastly, the wings here. We have Waiters, we have KCP, we have Danny Green, the guys I would consider. They're just dart throws. Sure, probably one of them will have a decent game. They have to hit their three-point shots. What they're out there for, they're 3-and-D guys, even though Waiters is not the best defender. But they're literally going to stand in the corner. They have to hit their three-point shots. If they do not hit their three-point shots, don't be surprised if they go for under 10 fantasy points. So these guys are all in play. But, yeah, they have to hit their threes. So Danny Green is 3-2. He probably looks the best for his price, right, if we get 30 minutes out of Danny Green. But, again, he has to hit his three-point shot. So do you want to go Danny Green or do you want to go with one of those centers? I think that's a tough call. I think it's close. The centers are better point per minute guys. Danny Green probably gets more minutes than them. So really close call there with those value Lakers. That's really it, though. So let me refresh Fantasy Labs. I don't think we're going to get any more news here, really. Like I said, guys, this is a tricky slate. This is one I would recommend going a little bit lighter on. Bledsoe, Matthews, Middleton, Giannis, and Brook Lopez. Just because the first game literally is everything. Getting that game right, whether you think it blows out, whether you think it stays close, is everything. So currently at almost 300 viewers, guys. If you like the content, if you enjoy the YouTube videos, the live streams, just take a second every day, hit that like button. It really helps me out to continue to grow the channel. Also, subscribe if you haven't already. Trying to get to 5K by the end of the month. Currently at like 4.25. So, all right, let's do it, guys. Fultz and Gallinari or Schroeder and Ennis. It's going to be Fultz and Gallinari there. I probably should give you guys, I guess, my core. It's really, really tricky here, but I think it's Fultz and Dragic right now that look like the best value. So I'm going to go with those two guys. I also really obviously like James Harden. The last one, it's either LeBron or it's Giannis. If you think the game stays close, go Giannis. If not, go LeBron. I think that's how you approach the slate. Let's see. Ross or Fultz? I think I like Fultz a little bit more than Ross. DK, for my small field single entry, Fultz, Fournier, Green, Giannis, Brook, Dragic, LeBron, Bam. Thoughts? Green, is that Jeff Green, right? Is there another Green on the slate that I'm not thinking of? Oh, Danny Green. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Dragic, Fultz, Ross, James. Dragic, Fultz, Ross, James, Giannis, Bam, Fourn, and Ennis. So you have, 4 Magic guys? I mean, that's risky. You just need the game to stay close. Do you like Augustine more than Fultz with blow-up potential? That one's tricky because Augustine is the veteran. He is coming out the bench, though, so I don't know how they would do that in the blowout. That's a tricky question. I don't know. Can the Magic keep it close? I have no idea. It's like a 50-50 shot. I think they're clearly outmatched here against the Bucks. They have to have other guys step up. SGA or Middleton, depending on what you think happens with this game. That's going to be my answer for a lot of questions here. If you think the game blows out, obviously go SGA. If you think it stays close, it's Middleton. And that's why I'm only playing tournaments. The game is 50-50 to blow out or not. You gained so many subs in a week. Congrats, love it. Hey, thanks, man. I'm going with Dragic, Fultz, Harden, Robinson, LeBron, Crowder, Bam, Covington, and Dwight Howard. Good with it. Rocco in the mid-range. I'm not overly excited about it, but he will get the minutes. CP3, Harden, LeBron, Ennis, Lopez, Dragic, Crowder, and Augustine. I think it looks pretty solid. You're fading Giannis. You're with me. I do not feel good about it. Don't get me wrong, guys. I am super scared of fading Giannis here, especially because I have 3 Magic guys. It just doesn't make sense, but I couldn't get something I was super comfortable with Giannis in 2. So I'm really just hoping the Magic value get me there, and then Giannis doesn't go crazy. It's a huge risk. I think Giannis. Can you play Giannis, LeBron, and Harden? You can. I actually did make a viable lineup with that, but then I would have to fade Goran Dragic, who was my favorite value. So, yeah, final lineup. Let's see. Dragic, Harden, LBJ, Crowder, Book, Lopez, Fultz, Duncan, Go Blue, and Gallinari. I think that's solid. Your team fade Giannis is me? Yeah. It's... Last spot, CP3, Butler, or Bam. I'll go CP3. Just because the revenge spot and such a good matchup there. Fultz, Harden, Ennis, AD, Brook, Crowder, Middleton. Fine with that. Bledsoe or Gallinari. I like the upside a bit more on Bledsoe, but obviously there's more risk with the potential blowout. Crowder and Robinson. Let's see. Do you like Crowder today? I think him, Duncan, and Andre Iguodala are very similar plays. Duncan probably pushes for over 30. Crowder and Iguodala probably get mid-20s minutes would be my best guess. Maybe a little less for Iguodala, maybe a little bit more for Crowder. So, yeah, I think Crowder's solid. The Heat value might be safer just because the game most likely will stay close. I have 4 Heat players laugh my ass off. That is a lot. How much do you like Bledsoe? I mean, if I knew we get 30-plus minutes out of Eric Bledsoe at 5'4", I think that looks really solid. I don't have him. I don't have any Bucks guys, and I'm super nervous about that. Like I said, it doesn't really make sense for me to have no Bucks and 3 Magic, but that's what I'm going with today. Whiteside, yeah, he's risky, but if he gets over 20 minutes, I think he could definitely get you there. Fultz or Ross, again, it's be Fultz for me. It's close. That's where I'm at. Fading Giannis doesn't feel right, but you just look at the year where Giannis played just 23 minutes against the Pistons in Game 1. Giannis will go crazy. I mean, if the game stays close, if the game stays close, most likely Giannis will go nuts. That's the way it goes. I'm just hoping either my Magic value get me there in 3 quarters, or somehow the Bucks just have a really balanced attack and Giannis doesn't go for 80. 30 points for Fournier. Yeah, him and Ross are almost identical plays for me. Both kind of score independent. Both will have to do a lot more with no Aaron Gordon. Top Magic plays, I think it's Fultz for me. The 2 point guards, I think it's Fultz and Augustine. But yeah, guys like James Ennis, guys like Terrence Ross, Fournier, definitely in play. Fultz, SJ, or Augustine, Bam. I'll go Augustine Bam there. I like the upside a bit more in Bam as opposed to SGA. Giannis fade is scary, but Harden without Westbrook playing huge minutes can break the slate. Yeah, I wouldn't fade Harden. The big decision is LeBron for me. I am going LeBron over Giannis. That is a very risky, thing in my opinion, but it's just where I'm taking a stand on this slate. Could I get burned by it? Of course. Like, I am super, super worried about fading Giannis. Dragic, Harden, Duncan, Ennis, Green, Fultz, LeBron, and Dennis Smith Jr. Not Dennis Smith Jr., Dennis Schroeder. Yeah, it's good with me. Let's see. Fultz, Harden, Ennis, Crowder, Brolo, Dragic, LBJ, and Brogdon. Is that cool? I'm not overly excited about Brogdon, but he'll be really, really low owned, so I guess that's fine for GPP. Elise Johnson or Jeff Green. Well, Elise Johnson's not going to play, so don't play him. Jeff Green is way too expensive, but I would rather play a guy that's going to play than a guy that's not. I'm just avoiding the Bucks. That's certainly viable too. Or just avoid the whole game. I wouldn't avoid the whole game. I think I would probably play at least one Magic guy, even in blowout. Like most likely, at least one of those Magic values is going to get there. Let's see. Yeah, wasn't comfortable with 4 Magic. Switch Ennis. Okay, what do you think? I'm going Dragic, Harden, Ennis, Giannis, Davis, and Wundo, Gabriel, and Green. I think I like other value more than in Wundo and Gabriel. Paul or Brogdon? It's going to be Chris Paul for me. Giannis only 21%. Okay, so I'm curious to see what his ownership is. I really am. I only played a tournament today, so let's see. So I'll go over my ownership. In the 3 Magic guys I played, Markelle Fultz, this is in the $100 tournament. Markelle Fultz is 72% owned. Kind of expected that. Terrence Ross is 25% owned. That is my risky play. Not a guy I usually like playing, but what I'm hoping for is he comes off the bench and he's just going to jack the ball. Then I want James Ennis, who is 47% owned. So looks like the sharper guys are on the same place as me. Let's see where Giannis is, though. Giannis is 47% owned. Brook Lopez is 61% owned. Whew. Well, and then let's see. Bledsoe is only 4%. Augustine is 13%. Yeah, I guess I just got to hope. Gary Clark is 15%. Fournier is 31%. Yeah, I mean, getting this game right is key. I just got to hope that Brolo and Giannis don't go nuts. I mean, I like both those guys a lot, so I am super scared about not having either and them being super chalk, too. So, what about J.R. Smith? I don't think J.R. Smith plays. Let's see. Giannis looks to be around 45 to 50%. It's just a really tricky call, right? Because if the game stays close, he will most likely smash. If not, he could only get like 50 fancy points. Ennis at 8.4 on FanDuel, Dark Horse. I mean, he's really popular on Draftkings. Maybe he was a little bit higher up on FanDuel. Is Danny Green good value? Is he starting? I mean, like I said, he has to hit his threes. I think we probably get 25 minutes from Danny Green. He literally just has to hit his threes. So it's a risk, but yeah, viable for sure. Giannis 38% in the $1. In the $40 single entry, I have Bledsoe at 10%, so hopefully he breaks the slate. I think he could. Bledsoe got overlooked, in my opinion, when obviously people wanted to play Giannis and Brook Lopez, which I love both those guys. But Bledsoe went overlooked. I think that's a nice pivot. Dragic, Harden, Ross, Giannis, Howard, Robinson, Green, and CP3. Yeah, that's good with me. I think that's a pretty safe way to go. Who are your values in the late games? So I have Goran Dragic, which I mentioned. Goran Dragic, and then I'm punting with JaVale McGee. I know that's a super risk, but what I'm hoping for is at least like 15 to 20 minutes of JaVale McGee. We'll see how it goes. I'm not like super confident in that, but he's min price and he's a starting center in the highest over-under game. Who are your values in the late games? So I kind of already talked about that with some of those Lakers' potential value. Possible potential value with Portland, with Whiteside and Hazonia, but their minutes are more in question. The other game, Houston and OKC, there's really not a whole lot of value here in either of those games. Like, Houston, don't really feel good about anyone. OKC, maybe Nerlens Noel at 3-6, I think would be a viable punt, and hope he gets 15 to 20 minutes. I'm locking LeBron in. I am too. Hope it goes well. I hope Giannis doesn't break the slate. IDK, if I agree with your Giannis fade, I'm willing to take that risk in the game that blows out and Bud rests. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it wasn't really a take. I don't feel good about fading Giannis. It's just you got to make a tough decision, and that's the game that's the best chance to blow out. So Would you play Danny Green or Iguodala? I think Danny Green gets more minutes, but I like what Iguodala does more, right? Because he'll get the assists, the rebounds. He doesn't necessarily have to score. So I think Iggy is a little bit safer. It's also the playoffs, so maybe they extend Iguodala a little bit more. That's what they got him for. Dragic, Fournier, Anthony, Giannis, Vucevic, Fultz, Crowder, and Bam. I mean, yeah, that's super risky going with Vucevic, but he's kind of in the same territory as Donovan Mitchell. If the Magic are going to stay in this game, we're going to most likely see a big game for Nikola Vucevic. LeBron's not going to play as many minutes as you think. I disagree. He played 38 minutes in the regular season getting ready for the playoffs. So if the game stays close, we're going to see close to 40 minutes from LeBron James. I disagree with that. Middleton, 4% cash. Let's go. Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense because Giannis really stood out, obviously, and then Brook Lopez. What do you think of Dragic, Harden, Ennis, Giannis, Bam, Fultz, Crowder, and Bazley? I don't know if I'd play Bazley. I guess he could get extended because it's small ball, but I'm just worried. I don't know how many minutes he gets. LeBron is going to play a lot of minutes. I agree. I'm actually happy about having D-Rob, Dragic, Crowder, and Bam all underpriced. I agree. I mean, the value clearly was the Magic value and the Heat value. You know, Heat value is probably a little safer. Magic value might have a little bit more upside. Crowder or House, regardless of price. I guess Danwell House, but I would not play House at 5-7. Crowder for me. I really like Danny Green in the Portland game environment, 3-and-D, baby. Yeah, I mean, he's got to knock down the 3, so I'm fine with Danny Green as a cheap option, cheap punt. Last DKG penalty spot. Let's see. Brogdon, SGA, Rocco, or Kuzma. Of those 4, I will go SGA because the matchup's the best against Houston. So I'll go SGA there, even though he's probably third, 3 for 3 out of those OKC guards. I think it's CP3, then Schroeder, then SGA. He's going to play 38 to 40 minutes. Giannis will go up from 30 to 34 minutes. I agree with that. Again, if the game stays close, we're going to see about 35 minutes from Giannis, whereas LeBron, I think he pushes for 40. If I really hope that Portland gets off to an early lead against the Lakers, so they have to extend LeBron a little bit more, like maybe 40 plus. Thoughts on Dragic, Fournier, Duncan, Ennis, Lopez, Schroeder, and Harden? Yeah, I think that looks really solid. Thoughts on SGA? He's burned me before. I prefer CP3 and Schroeder, but all 3 are pretty similar. All 3 should play 35-plus minutes in a really good spot. Hazonia and Waiters, both minutes are kind of in question. Hazonia, I have no idea. He could play 10 minutes. He could play 20-plus. Waiters probably gets around 20, so I guess safer is Waiters. Why don't you like Brogdon? Just because of the mid-range on this slate. How can I get to Brogdon when you have Giannis, LeBron, and Harden? The guy in the mid-range that I'm going with is CP3. I know that's a little bit risky, but the guys that I would consider probably CP3 and Bam. If I was going more mid-range, like those two stand out the most to me. Chris Paul and Bam Adebayo. I finished 24th in the $1 GPP out of 5.6K last night. Hey, that's really solid. CP3, LeBron, Harden, Clark, McGee, Dragic, Gordon, and Crowder. What do you think? I think that's fine. Yeah, that's pretty similar to my build. Fading Harden. Don't feel great about it, but like the min-price guys for Giannis and Lakers guys compared to Harden. Yeah, I mean, you could do it. We said Harden, his floor is probably about 60 with no Russell Westbrook, but it's possible. Donovan said he's going to play Bazley at the 5, matchup at times. Okay, that's good to know. Then that makes Bazley a little bit more viable. And that obviously takes kind of Steven Adams out of play and probably Noel too. So Bazley becomes a little bit more in play. I'm still just don't know how many minutes we're going to get because CP3, SGA, Schroeder, and Gallo are going to play the big minute. Like, those 3 guards should play 35 plus. I think we get about 30 from Gallo, and then the rest is in the question, right? So Steven Adams is going to start. He'll probably play 20, 25-ish. Maybe Noel gets a couple. How much is there left for Bazley? That's kind of where I'm at. 22% Giannis and FanDuel already seems you're onto something. Thanks, Brandon. Nice, no problem. All right, guys. I'm going to get out of here. I hope if you have Giannis, I hope he goes crazy. I do not, so I'm hoping he doesn't I hope he doesn't break the slate, but we'll see how it goes. If he breaks the slate, I'll just go with the late slate. But yeah, the reason why, guys, I didn't play cash games, just the first game literally means everything. If it stays close and you have Milwaukee, guys, you're going to be in amazing shape. If it blows out and you faded most of the game, you're going to be in really good shape. So yeah, good luck, guys. Hope you guys have a good day, and I am out of here.